Hello and welcome to this new episode of a series that I've started called The Vulnerable Me. I have with me a guest that I know nothing about except his name. His name is Deepak. Deepak, a little preamble on what the initiative is about, since you are absolutely new to the what I'm trying to achieve here. In the last 1.5 years, I started an initiative called the Values Workshop. Uh, it was it was a sense of restlessness that I thought that I had a mind that could contribute something good uh, to the world. I am an advertising writer by profession, so I've been doing reasonably well. And this whole thirst for trying to give something back to the world was within me for a couple of months. And one of the things that intrigued me was that I have struggled with values all my life. Um, there is something called practicality that is thrust upon us under several guises, responsibility or other things. And I found myself um quite okay when I started to live up to my values that I thought I espoused. And I was surprised to see that the journey is not as difficult as it is made out to be in our minds or how the society calls it. Um, and I have a daughter who's a teenager now. So the idea also was to try and do something where I can share with her what makes me me, as well as the generation that is about to step into working. So people who are studying in, say, after school, in colleges and about to start their careers, I realized that we put a um, lot of burden of success on them and tell them all the ways that they can crack it. But nobody talks about the human values that one has to live up to, or at least think about, or the questions that come up while we are working. So I wanted to tap into that generation. Unfortunately or fortunately, I have not succeeded very much per se, but my generation people have reacted very positively to this, and I've been continuing on and off. I get some young guests who are like in the 20 plus group, so I try and get into their minds, what are their issues, what are the things that concern them. So more or less that is what the initiative is about. Under this, I have done random topics earlier, on kindness, on honesty, on success, on different things. In the last 1.5 years, the two topics that I covered extensively was a topic called Nobody Talks About Death, which is one series that I have kind of paused for a bit because people want to get out of that zone for a while. So they are not responding to it as much as I would have wanted them to. And the other series that I am presently running is called The Vulnerable Me. Now, the vulnerable me is a very open chat with different individuals, and we can talk about any kind of vulnerabilities. And on the death series, I do not run a video series because people are far more open to talk about deeper issues and fears when they are not named or on camera. But this one is, since we are on camera, I'm trying to talk about anything under the sun that kind of reveals certain vulnerabilities that all of us face as human beings. So yeah, this is a longish preamble since you have no clue about what I was trying to achieve. Can you tell us a little about yourself before I get into the conversation?
Sure, Bunty. I'm still with the word vulnerable
Mhm.
that you mentioned, and I would like to start with that. So I choose to live a life of vulnerability.
Oh,
It's a life that gives me adventure, joy, liveliness, and of course all the consequence that comes with that. Being in a happy, fresh mood.
okay.
I live a very curious life, being curious about pretty much everything that come across to me, and that also makes me very sensitive.
Uh,
Uh, it's also a consequence of being vulnerable. Uh, a person, in my experience, can only be vulnerable if the sensitivity is enhanced.
Yeah.
Once the sensitivity is enhanced, it also helps to enhance the vulnerability as well. So it works, goes hand in hand.
Okay. Would you define the difference for me between sensitivity and vulnerability?
For me, vulnerability is freedom from the known.
Ah, oh, it's very strong
It
positive
is
connotation.
it is stepping into unknown. And when you step into unknown, you step into freshness, into liveliness. Uh, it's a very deadly life. I mean, very dead life. If the life is not vulnerable, if everything that I do is known to me, then it is a dead life because it has been already known. If it is already known, that means it has been already in my mind. That means it has been either a past experience or a thought through experience that is going to come in future. So vulnerable is totally opposite to known, anything that is known. So it is actually freedom from anything known. It is a world of unknown. To keep it simple and make it even more understandable for the listeners, it's a life of a child, just to put it in a simple word.
Okay.
A child's life is full of curiousness and full of wow. Look at their eyes. They are always with wonder. They never fear into going into unknown. It doesn't matter to them if it is a rope or a snake. They wanted to touch, feel, experience, take it in their hands. Insects, feathers, pearls, stones, rocks, whatever comes in front of them, it's new world for them. So every time a child is into a unknown, every second is a unknown, and that is why the curiousness is high, and that is why the vulnerability is high. So that is my life. I live that kind of life where I intentionally go into the unknown. Society call it intentionally going into an uncomfort zone, but somehow I find it comfort in the society's uncomfort zone.
Yeah.
And
So how
coming
does
back to
sorry, you also
yes,
mentioned sensitivity earlier. So how does this sharpen sensitivity?
yes, it's correlated. When you are into a vulnerable world, which is unknown world, your senses become much more active. Feelings come into the play, not the mind. Because whenever mind is there, it automatically takes you to either past or future. That means again a dead life, a known life.
Okay.
Uh, Whenever unknown is there, whenever the present moment is there, it will enhance sensitivity because that is the best tool that you have to live in the present moment. You're always sensing through your intuition, through all your senses, that what's going on, what's happening around me. Because you are not relying on someone else's experience, or for that matter, your own previous experience.
Okay.
Something that worked previously does not mean is going to work in the same way in this moment also. If you live a vulnerable life, you also delete previous experiences of your own as well. So you're always fresh. That means sensitivity has to be increased. That means intuition has to be increased. Now, again, coming to the practical, It's the way animals sense that when the weather is changing, when is the transition from the night to the day so that the birds can make their sounds, when the rain starts so that the frogs can have the best rock concert ever.
Mhm.
It's that kind of sensitivity for each and every animal that we have got. And we are also animals, so we have also got that sensitivity. That comes when the feelings are there, when we are as a whole holistic, not just thinking through our logical mind. So, in our sensitivity, also, we feel how Bunty is feeling right now, listening to me, how people around me are feeling, what are they
Wonderful.
receiving, what's going on in them. That is what is sensitivity means. And that, in my experience, comes with vulnerability. And when the sensitivity enhances, it automatically makes you even more vulnerable. So it goes, in a loop to continue the vulnerability and the sensitivity. And it's really joyful.
Yeah, I have one little question here. Uh, you mentioned two what I could call traditionally understood as negatives. One is freedom uh, from knowing. People are very interested in knowing things and gathering knowledge. Just day before, I read a very nice line. If you are reading a book, read to understand it instead of reading a lot of books. Like gain mastery over the subject that you plan to. Uh, Similarly, another term that you used, which is a very loaded term, and I find it hugely inspiring, and uh, at the same time, I would want you to explore for us within the words that you are using. Dead life. I want to understand when the whole world is trying to find a comfort zone so that they are no longer afraid, and it is their way of coming out of pain, because it is fear of pain or the unknown, that something might happen. I do not know, I am not in control. uh, how come you are seeing it the opposite way? You're saying I don't want to live the known. How do you define it as freedom, and what is the mind space that you operate from? How come you are not afraid of it? Would you be able to talk a little about that?
Sure, sure. There are multiple questions involved in this same question.
Yes, yes,
Let
they
me
are.
take one by one.
Yeah.
We are a living being.
Okay.
Each one of us keeps on changing every second.
Yes.
Our cells change biologically.
So you were saying the our cells change every second. After that, I lost your audio contact.
Yeah, this is also for you, Bunty, to know as well as for the listeners that where I live, I don't live at one place. I live in multiple places, mostly in forests. And right now, where I live, it doesn't have any internet and any mobile connection there.
Yes.
So I came 2 kilometers from my house to a farmer's house who has a Wi-Fi connection in a village, and so that I can talk to you and to your listeners as well.
Thank you. Thank
So that's why there is a continuous breakage, and
Yeah.
even though that's the best Wi-Fi I can afford, there would be always breakage. Part of life. I
Yeah.
accept it.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. So you were saying how you came to term it freedom from comfort, and you like vulnerability. So you were describing living. We are changing every
Yes.
second. This. Yeah.
Yes. So we are a living being, and we are changing every single second, including our physical body and thoughts and the feelings that we go through. Every single second, it's all new. That means the person Bunty I spoke to 5 minutes ago was different than now. Yes. That means each and every second should be fresh, lively, newly lived. That is the truth. We know by experience.
Yeah.
However, the way we try to live is I should know everything, everything should be planned. I should know what is coming in future, this meeting, this house, this place to live, from where my food comes, from where my income comes. All those things should be known. And if something is unknown, that gives fear and that gives uncertainty. And that's what society is afraid of. And society tries to create a security, and even government also uses the word security system, social security system.
True.
That's how it works. Yes. In that, what happens is that we either live in the past or in the future. No one lives in the present.
Yeah.
However, the reality is that what you have actually got is only present. You don't know what is coming in future. You don't. The past is gone. So you have no control on both past or future. It's gone. So a lively life can only be lived in the present moment when you are accepting the unknown, when you are accepting your new self every single second. Then only we will be sensitive to the new information that we are getting every single second. Otherwise, we will close our eyes, will pass through a beautiful flower or an injured cow. It won't make any difference to us because we are busy thinking about the next meeting where we are rushing, because we have already made our mind that I have to reach from A to B no matter whatever happens. So already living in the future. So that is the life of living in known. I choose to live a life of unknown because it is aligned to nature. It is aligned to the truth. It is aligned to living in present moment. That is the difference. I find comfort in this because there is freshness, liveliness. So there are two kinds of life. One is first hand life and second is second hand life. Second hand life is lived by those who are either living in past or future, or by those who are living by someone else's experience. That I told you to live like this, or you have learned from someone else and then you are mimicking or using those learning to live that life. Or to go even more further, I am living a life based on the experiences I had myself in my past. That is also second hand. Even though it was my experience,
Is
but it
gone.
has been a past. There is no guarantee that the new experience will be the same to what has happened in the past. So it is also categorized as second hand life, even if I live based on my own my own
Earlier.
experiences, past experiences. What is left in the first hand life is to live afresh every single moment.